Chronological
I'm in the
Bible,
Chronological
the New
Bible.
Testament,
It basically
hashtag free
means
the
that the
birth of
Bible is in
Jesus.
chronological order. All the books are in the proper timeline. Transition time. The genealogy of Jesus. The first gospel begins like First Chronicles with a genealogy. This account of the ancestors of Jesus Christ sets his story within the sacred history of the people of Israel. As Abraham's descendant, Jesus is identified as a Jew, as David's descendant. He is located more narrowly in the Israel royal family. Matthew's account follows Chronicles, but omits some generations, apparently grouping the descendants into sets of 14. Matthew chapter 1 verse 17. The mention of the four non-Jewish women, Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Uriah's wife, chapter 1 verse 16, anticipates the gospel's conclusions, which calls for the evangelism of all nations. It says like this: Luke's genealogy sees the genealogy of Jesus as Luke chapter 3 verse 23. Some have prospered that Matthew provides Joseph's genealogy and Luke provides Mary's. From Abraham to Christ. Matthew chapter 1 verse 1. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar, and Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahashon, and Nahashon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. And David the king begot Solomon, by her who had been the wife of Uriah, Bathsheba. Solomon begot Rehoboam. Rehoboam begot Abijah. Abijah begot Asa. Asa begot Josaphat. Josaphat begot Joram. Joram begot Uzzah. Uzzah begot Jotham. Jotham begot Ahaz. Ahaz begot Hezekiah. Hezekiah begot Manasseh. Manasseh begot Amon. And Amon begot Josiah. Josiah begot Jeconiah and his brothers about the time they were carried away to Babylon. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begot Shealtiel. And Shealtiel begot Zerubbabel. And Zerubbabel begot Abiud. Abiud begot Eliakim. Eliakim begot Azar. Azar begot Zadok. Zadok begot Achem. Achem begot Elud. Elud begot Elazar. Elazar begot Mathan. And Mathan begot Jacob. And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. From David until the captivity in Babylon are 14 generations. And from the captivity in Babylon until the Christ are 14 generations. Transition time. The birth of Jesus. No one knows precisely when Jesus was born. Even his year of birth is only an educated guess based on the information available. The intentions of the medieval creators of our calendar was to set the date of Jesus' birth at AD 1. They simply miscalculated the Jewish historian Josephus because he placed the death of Herod the Great in 4 BC. In both Matthew and Luke, they presume that Herod was king at the time of Jesus' birth, but it is not clear how much before Herod's death Jesus was born. We know that Herod became king of the Jews in 37 BC. Outside of Matthew, no historical records mentioned Herod's slaughter of the infants in Bethlehem. And Josephus does write that Herod ordered the murders of the members of his own family to protect his throne. So it is not surprising that a few peasant children in Bethlehem went unnoticed among Herod's many crazy things he did, leaving us no help was dating it. So there's no date. Since Herod's calculations led him to target children under 2 years old, Jesus' birth likely occurred 1 or 2 years before Herod's death in either 6 or 5 BC. The virgin birth. Matthew chapter 1, verse 18 through 25. Chapter 1, verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus was as follows. After his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not wanting to make her a public example, was minded to put her away secretly. But while he thought about these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take to you Mary your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. And she will bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. So all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet through the prophet, saying, Behold, the virgin shall be with child and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which is translated, God is with us. Then Joseph, being aroused from sleep, and did as the angel of the Lord commanded him, and took to him his wife, and did not know her till she brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus. Betrayal and betrothal. The betrothal of Mary and Joseph involved much more than the engagement does today. Even though a young Jewish man was considered an adult around the age of 13, he would work for a few years to save up for his marriage around the age of 18 or 20. After the making of a legal contract between the two families, the young man and the woman, who was normally between the age of 12 and 16, were betrothed. That Mary became pregnant after the betrothal, but before their wedding, prompted Joseph to put her away. A betrothed couple could not sleep together before the wedding. In fact, Galileans' parents normally kept the man and woman from spending time together privately until the wedding, normally a year after betrothal. Thus, Joseph would not have known Mary very well, and should not be blamed for this mistrusting her in deciding to end the betrothal. The commitment of the betrothal was so legally binding that a divorce was required to break it off. Joseph had little choice. If a man betrothed wife became pregnant, people would assume that she had regarded him as an unique man and that would publicly humiliate him. Worse yet, should not be divorced. Most people would assume that he was the one who had gotten her pregnant, and he would bear a great shame in the culture that was obsessed with shame and honor. Jewish law required a man to divorce a wife who had been unfaithful. Joseph could have been divorced Mary publicly in a court. The court would not only establish his innocence, but also profit him financially. He would get to keep all of Mary's stuff, the money of her father that gave her for the marriage. By planning to divorce her privately, writing out a certificate of divorce for her in front of the two witnesses, Joseph elected to forfeit the profit rather than shame her any further. Augustus, the first Roman Empire, Luke chapter 2, verse 1. Luke refers to Caesar Augustus as the Roman emperor who ruled the world during the birth and the youth of Jesus. The Roman Senate gave the title Augustus to this ruler in 27 BC. He was born Gaius Octavius in 63 BC, the great-nephew of the famous Julius Caesar. Christ born of Mary, Luke chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This censure first took place while Quirinius was governing Syria. So all went to be registered, everyone to his own city. Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of the lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed wife, who was with child. So it was that while they were there, the days were completed for her to be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in the manger, because there was no room for them in the inn.